Today we're going to compare the cameras on the iPhone 17 Pro versus the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. The color profile I'm using on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra is the Leica Authentic, so a lot of the colors are a little bit more contrastier, so that's going to be pretty common throughout the whole video. If you like the pictures that's closer to the eye or something more natural, then the iPhone has that down. So for the regular person, the iPhone is going to be just perfect for them. But if you are a photographer, then the Xiaomi 15 Ultra is for them since they do have that Leica collaboration. And for the Leica brand, you probably don't know who they are unless you are a photographer. But I want to mention that the Xiaomi 15 Ultra isn't the perfect phone for them either, since some people may not like the color science. Now going back between the iPhone and the Xiaomi, there are a couple things that are better on the Xiaomi. The first one I want to point out is the telephoto lens. For max zoom, it's at 40x on iPhone and 120 on a Xiaomi. So not only the 15 Ultra can zoom in more, but it is also more clear. The second thing you would probably notice is the natural background blur. Usually it's easy to see when you're taking a picture of something in your hands, but shooting with the telephoto of a subject farther away, it is a lot more noticeable on the Xiaomi. And even on a wide camera, it's very slight, but if you do pay attention, it's just a little bit more creamier and denser. So if you like that bigger sensor look, then the Xiaomi 15 Ultra is just the way to go. I also want to point out that it's kind of hard to have it switch to the telephoto lens all the time on an iPhone because it's really automatic, but I wish you have total control to switch between them, kind of like the macro mode button. For the portrait mode, you could definitely tell a big difference here. I do prefer the skin tone on the iPhone since it is warmer and it doesn't make the whole skin pop or like super highlighted. The iPhone definitely look a lot more natural too. Also, when you're shooting on the Xiaomi 15 Ultra's portrait mode, you do have an additional 3x which I didn't show, but it is nice to always have more options when you're shooting in portrait mode. Since the Xiaomi has more contrast, yes, they do look more darker when it's next to the iPhone. And when you're shooting in these situations where there are really bright sources in dark areas, it does seem like the highlights are more controlled on iPhone as well. So in a lot of situations, you can see the details in that really specific brighter spot, whereas on a Xiaomi, it tends to be more overblown. So if it's a picture of a sign or a store, then you probably couldn't be able to read it. But sometimes you do want to have darker shadows since it looks more realistic, especially when the whole image is exposed. Sometimes it can give off that processed look. Moving on to video in low light, it seems like the ultra-wide is struggling a bit with the stabilization. As you can see, it's jittering a bit more as I'm taking harder steps. And you can see a lot more on the iPhone where it's giving off that flatter look. And moving on to the main camera, the color is a little bit closer to each other, but on the Xiaomi it's still slightly more darker. For the stabilization, it seems like the Xiaomi is also doing a little bit better as well. Stabilization for the telephoto, again, the winner here is clearly the Xiaomi, so I feel like if you do more run and gun style video, the footage coming out of the Xiaomi may be a bit cleaner and smoother overall. Moving on to daytime, it seems like the stabilization on the iPhone is a lot better, and of course since there's a lot of light, the image is also pretty good on both phones. Same thing for the main wide lens, and for the shadows, it is a bit darker on a Xiaomi, but to me, I don't mind it since if I'm not gonna color correct, then I think it does look closer to the eye. And of course, if you are shooting closer to your subject with the main camera or zooming in with the telephoto lens, you will easily see or get that natural background blur. And to me, for the cameras, this is where you'll see the biggest difference between phones coming out of America versus the Chinese phones. From my experience, I think Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo, their hardware on cameras are years ahead. But that is just my take from experiencing all these phones from around the world. I'm going to end it off with some selfies here. Let me know what you guys think between these two phones. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.